Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. And for those who are new here, welcome. For those who aren't, welcome back. Just a quick news update today for those who are interested. The untimely passing of world-renowned ring announcer and longest-running World Wrestling Entertainment employee Howard Finkel took place at some point within the last 24 hours. It's all over the news. I just wanted to give those who might have not heard yet that information. A little bit of background on Finkel is what I will give you. This is going to be a really short update, probably less than 10 minutes easily. But Finkel started in 1977. Was born on June 7th, 1950, and originally began working for Vince McMahon Sr., working for the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, the predecessor to what was the World Wrestling Federation, what is now World Wrestling Entertainment. He was the longest-running tenured employee and began ring announcing in 1977. So if we think about that until he retired in the 90s, 20-plus years as a ring announcer, but also nearly, 87, 97, 2007, 17, 40-plus years as a member of the company, inducted into the Hall of Fame in the year 2009. Native of New Jersey, and he was the first employee hired in 1975 for what was then originally known as the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Made his ring announcing debut in January of 1977 at the famed Madison Square Garden. By 97, he had become the lead ring, 79 rather. He had become the lead ring announcer for all of the big events and was the first official employee and was the longest lasting employee until his passing. No breaks in between for Finkel throughout his career. Used in various voiceovers, the new blah, blah, blah champion was originated with him and often has been duplicated, but imitated, but never completely duplicated by various other people. And then he would try to get, people rattled up. There are some rumors that he came up with the event name for WrestleMania. However, those were unsubstantiated. Also, he's given credit in some places, including Wikipedia, for being the one to give Ricky the Dragon nickname, Ricky Steamboat, that is. And so he became the lead ring announcer for the television tapings in 1984 during the expansion. Finkel said he'd also played a bit of a part in talent relations and creative development during his time with the company. In 1987, he was presented a plaque commemorating a decade of announcing at Madison Square Garden, and in 1993, he was introduced as Finkus Maximus at the ill-fated night at WrestleMania, in decked out in toga and other such. In 95, he took a hiatus for just over half a year, and he did eventually return. He was used throughout various storylines. He was used in the attempted defeat or the successful defeat of Kerry Von Erich for the Intercontinental Championship. He also began a feud in 1992 with Dr. Harvey Wippleman, thus leading to some horrible tuxedo matches. And then, he became involved in a feud with X-Pac and Jeff Jarrett in the late 90s, and he actually assisted X-Pac in cutting the hair of Jarrett in the late 90s. And Finkel became a second to Chris Jericho in 1999, right after Jericho's debut. That only lasted a few weeks, however. And then Finkel had a brief one-night run as a heel ring announcer in a return in 2012. He'd taken a lighter schedule by the year 2000, so for the last 20 years he's been less of an on-air character. Lillian Garcia and Tony Schimmel taking over the respective duties. 2006, he did make a return in that year, and he did some voiceovers for the Dirt Sheet online program for WWE.com. He has done a little bit of guest work on The Price is Right game show, and he did a various other eventual guest spots throughout television and what have you. Finkel returns to announcing for one night only on the 15th of November 2010, Old School Raw. He also appeared on a episode of NXT with the original NXT without Think the Fink segment, which he also did on America Online for several years, giving away prizes in the mid-90s to fans who could stump him. And let's see, he also was at the Survivor Series in Madison Square Garden in November of 2011. Special ring announcer at the request of CM Punk. Finkel was a cast member of Legend House in 2014, and he did consult for various other network programmings. He had been working in a backstage role with the WWF until his death, and on the 22nd of January 2018, the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw, he would introduce The Undertaker, although it was a recording to him not being able to be there live. He died on the 16th of April 2020 at the age of 69, suffering from a serious stroke, and he had been in severe health prior to passing away for several months. WWE did release a statement on the life and career of Finkel, basically saying he was the best ring announcer of all time, and no one can argue that. I can remember as a kid, one of my favorite Finkel memories was going to live events, and he would get up in the ring and pump the crowd right before intermission to sell tickets for the next live event in your town, and he would draw it out. I was in the back and just talking to whomever and just signed this match, and this match. There was no better voice, at least growing up in the Northeast, than Howard Finkel. His predecessor, Gary Michael Capetta, I've actually done an interview with on this channel. I might want to check that out. Always wanted to interview the Fink. Did get a chance to meet him one time as a kid, and exiting an arena, and all he said was, obviously me being in a wheelchair, he stopped and asked if I enjoyed the event, and of course I said yes, and he said, you make it worth it to be away from our families, kids like you, and shook my hand and went on his merry way. And it's a world event, life event that I will never forget, just because I was a young kid at the time, probably under the age of 12 or so. And it just sticks with you that sometimes being that genuine, that real, and loving your job can make a major difference. Once again, Scott Golden with Pro Wrestling Logic. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. I'll be back momentarily within the next few hours with the NXT report from last night, and hopefully catching up on some other wrestling events as well that have taken place within the last 7 days. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. And that's fine, everybody.